Okay, we're in volume 10 of the Bible story, and we are at part 2, story 10, The Boy Who Slept in Church. Okay? It happened at a place called Taurus on the coast of Asia Minor. Paul had just returned from Greece, where he had gone to encourage the new believers. After spending a week with the Christians in Taurus, he had met with them again on the first day of the week in the upper chamber on a third story of a small local building. The grand old missionary had no doubt already preached in the morning, and perhaps again Sabbath afternoon. Then of the first then on the first day of the week, which in those days began at sunset Saturday night, he went yet to another meeting. He wanted to celebrate the Lord's Supper before leaving in the morning. Nobody knows exactly what hour this meeting began, but we know when it was interrupted and when it finally ended. Paul had so much to say and so many wonderful stories to tell that he prolonged his speech until midnight. How many people dozed during the long service, we are not told. But the name of the boy that went fast asleep was never forgotten. Eutychus, Eutychus. Eutychus was sitting in the window and sank down into a deep sleep as Paul talked still longer. Eventually the window was opened, for the poor lad fell out and hit the ground with a fearful thud 3 stories down. You can imagine the commotion. Paul was forgotten, women screamed, and men rushed outside to see what had happened. Everybody was wide awake now, as the word had passed from one to another. Icarus, Icarus. Icarus fell out of the window, and he's dead. A lantern held high in someone's hand showed where the body lay, and a crowd quickly gathered around it. Nobody could see much in the dim light. Then Paul comes came striding through. Pressing his way to the front, he knelt down beside Icarus and put his arm about him, much as Elisha, long years before, had embraced the dead son of the Shunammite woman. After a few moments, he stood up again. "Don't worry," he said. "He's alive." Everybody was amazed. They couldn't understand it, but there was no doubt that Paul said was true. Some of the members picked the boy up and took him home, and not a little uh, were not a little comforted. You might think that this would have brought a meeting to a close. Oh no! After a little break, Paul went right back to the pulpit and carried on from where he had left off. The Bible says that when he had gone upstairs again, and had broken bread and eaten, he conversed with them a long while until daybreak, and so departed. What happened to Icarus? Afterwards, we are not told. But when he grew up and heard his friends talking about the wonderful night when the Apostle Paul preached in his church, he must have always had the feeling of regret. That was the greatest night, feeling of regret. He must always have had a feeling of regret. That was the greatest night in the history of Taurus, and he knew nothing about it. He had slept through it all. It doesn't pay to sleep in church. Uh, that's what it says. Huh. Okay, you got up here at the top, you got Icarus in the window, and then Paul talking. And then in this one, you got Icarus down on the ground, and Paul holding him to wake him up. And this is what it looks like full page. Okay. Then here, up here at the top, see Icarus is over there in the window, sleeping, and Paul preaching. And then here on this page, you got up at the top, you get the window, and then down here, you got Paul holding Icarus. And yep, that's Icarus. Had to think for a minute. Icarus. It looks funny. The word looks funny. It's Icarus. Eutychus. Icarus. I should know that. Okay, well, that's the end. Woo, real short. Of part 2, story 10. And I'm going to take the break. And I'll be right back. And we'll finish up what we got. See you in a minute.